Hello, everyone.
Welcome back, Caleb.
Caleb, you're with us again.
Hey.
We also have Ethan again tonight.
What's up?
Unfortunately.
All right. What the fuck were you guys saying about baseball a second ago?
Yeah. Regale us.
Well, what were you trying to argue?
That it
About
sucks.
baseball.
Well, no,
It's
you
garbage.
make your point that you made about putting
Ethan.
an NBA guy on the mound or whatever you just said.
Well,
Say
first
it
off,
again.
Ethan said that baseball was the hardest sport to play. That was the
That
claim you
and
made.
golf go hand in hand.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you.
I've played both. Golf is much harder. I played baseball growing up my whole life, as well as golf at the same time. Golf is much harder than baseball.
Yes, but when it comes to like the skill curve, getting older and getting into more, did you ever play in anything other than like a rec field on a rec team?
We played some competitive ball.
Yeah, well, like I said, it gets harder as you progress, as you get older. People throw harder, people learn new pitches, hands get bigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because when you play golf, you're playing against the same thing that the pros are playing. You're playing the course.
Right.
Right. So you're playing that.
Sort of. I mean, he's playing not professional
I
courses.
mean, you're playing Oracle. But
Yeah, but still, I mean,
Yeah.
it depends. You know, I've played out at what's the one that they play out here?
Sawgrass.
Something like that. I can't remember what it is. That's not what it is.
Ah, dude, if you wouldn't have asked, I'd have been able to tell you.
No. Anyways, where they have the FedEx St. Jude Classic, I've played that course, and it's definitely harder than your fucking public courses and shit
Yeah.
like that. But I mean, I will give you that golf is something that you can do from the time you're a child till the time you're 80 years old. That doesn't mean that you're going to be good at it either side, but it is something where it doesn't matter really what your age is. You can always play golf.
Yeah, well, the
So I will give
comparison
you that.
made between baseball and golf,
But
that wasn't a good comparison.
But to be good at it is a different thing than just being able to play it, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's easier to play golf because you're playing the course. If I put a kid who's been on a rec team his whole life and he's 18 and he goes and plays against college kids, it's a huge skill gap there. Golf is a whole different thing. Like you said, you're playing the course. You're not playing. I mean, technically, you are playing scores against someone else, but you're playing your own mind.
But the course has a
itself.
score that's called even, and if you
I've
don't,
never played, really.
if you don't do that, then you've not beaten the course. Every time you go out and you play a course and you shoot over par, you have lost. You have not beaten the course.
That still has no comparison to baseball and what you were saying about I've played both my whole life. Once again, when you're playing golf, your competition doesn't get any harder. I mean, obviously courses, pars change, but you're not going out and the balls aren't moving around, or your ball's still sitting in front of you with the club that you have.
There's
in your
no
hand.
defense in
Right.
golf.
yeah.
Yet,
Which was my point about the
Yet
stupid
people-
point he was making earlier.
yet people still don't master courses. They still go and play the same course 3 or 4 times a week and never.
Because golf is hard.
It's harder than baseball.
But-
I've beat other teams playing baseball. I've only beat a course once.
I'm not saying that golf isn't harder. What
Maybe
I'm saying is the two hardest sports are baseball and golf.
They're both very hard. I'll give you
Yes,
that.
they're harder than any other sport.
Why is it harder than basketball?
Once again, the point I made a second ago, you take a professional baseball player onto a basketball court, he can make threes, he can make some layups, he's going to be able to do the...
Do you
Not-
mean
not-
against? Do you mean
yeah,
against
against NBA
NBA players?
I could make a three.
No.
Anyone can make a lucky three on a
No, I really do. I agree with that. Like,
Yes.
I'm not a great
No,
basketball
guys,
player.
y'all
but
have to be kidding
No.
me.
Yeah,
Listen,
you're out of your mind.
I could go find the guy sitting on Memphis's bench and put him in a one-on-one game, and y'all won't score a point.
One-on-one.
One-on-one is not basketball.
Okay, fine. You pick
Yeah.
3 of your idiot friends and go out there against them, and you won't score a point.
You won't.
I mean,
They'll embarrass you.
Absolutely embarrass you. Listen,
They will embarrass you, yes. But it doesn't mean that I won't get my easy layups and this.
there are absolutely easy layups, bro. You
Agree. I'm just saying, you take, and let me finish my point. You take a basketball player and you get him up to bat against a 100-mile-per-hour fastball and then a 72-mile-per-hour changeup. There's no chance. There's not even a chance you could give him 1,000 at-bats and he might get lucky and hit one ground out.
Okay, listen.
Yes,
I
I'm
think
not
the
saying
only
you're
person
wrong
that
there.
could truly answer this question is Michael Jordan.
he did play both.
He played all three.
Play golf. He does play golf.
He played all three.
Which one's harder, Mike?
He needs to phone in real quick
He's
and
gonna
tell
call
us.
my-
listen. Even if you asked him, he's going to be biased because he was good at basketball. So I'm sure he would say basketball. Just
I disagree.
because.
I think I've heard him say that golf is a much more challenging sport.
He may have. I don't know.
Might be lying, but I'm pretty sure I've
He's
heard him say
probably
that.
lying.
He's never sober anymore, so who knows what he said.
I don't know, man. I think we're not really.
I just think that like there's a lot of technical stuff to basketball and things like that, but I think that there's a lot more of an opportunity for luck and for it's like it seems like a much more simple sport than the other two. There's so many ins and outs to the other games that
To baseball?
seems, yes.
Listen, I don't think so, man. I think like
I swear you ask the average person the rules of basketball versus baseball, and the average person can tell you how to play basketball over baseball. I don't understand half the shit
How
that
you
goes on with
run
baseball.
right?
that's because you never. Yeah, do you ever? You've watched and played a lot of basketball. Have you ever done that with baseball?
I've watched baseball and I've never played baseball, but I haven't ever really been that much into basketball. Like
I've played basketball with you. I've never played baseball with you.
yeah, because I don't play baseball. I'm not claiming that I do. I'm just saying overall, I think that the game of baseball is more complicated than the game of basketball.
Agreed.
I don't know anyone who would really disagree with that other than you two.
Here's my thing, though. When it comes to baseball, you can have a guy who's overweight, doesn't do shit. He's just good at hitting home runs, right? And he might play second base or some shit, right? He doesn't have to run. You don't have to do nothing but stand there and hit a ball.
I
He's
did
not
not
really
say-
athletic.
I did not say it's more physical, and neither did he. It doesn't. That doesn't make what makes a sport hard.
And you're
the
telling me
physicality
that
of it.
same fat piece of shit who can hit home runs can go and score 3 against
Oh, he
NBA
could
players?
box out
No,
somebody.
You're
absolutely.
out of your mind. You guys.
Zion Williamson is 300 pounds, and he's manhandling.
He's a freak of nature. Like
What the whole thing about being overweight? What does that matter?
Yeah, big
Listen,
guys
here-
in basketball
Shaquille O'Neal
dominate.
is one of the greatest players of all time. Charles Barkley.
They played ball their whole lives.
here's the thing. Here's the
But
thing.
Shaq was not that good at basketball.
Shaq
he used
started
his
playing
body.
basketball in his sophomore year of high school.
Here's the point I'm making. If you put me, who doesn't play either one of those things, out there in a rec league, like maybe I'll make a basket in the rec league,
Yeah.
whatever. I might get a hit in a baseball rec league. But if you put me up against an NBA player, I have just as much chance of making a basket as I do of hitting a ball against a Major League Baseball player.
Absolutely. It's
Not
the same.
true.
I would never, ever
Do
give you
you
guys that.
You
Not
don't
true.
understand.
God, you don't understand the skill level that these
And
guys
how
have.
big these guys are. Like, it's
Okay, but not. That doesn't.
watch them, Caleb. Watch them. Watch how quickly they move. Like, I can't do that. In the same way I couldn't hit the ball if it was coming that quickly.
Because like it's kind of an unfair thing because like I mean I don't know like it's just in that instance like you would be able to accomplish much more on a basketball court like 100%.
No.
With if you're talking about you're playing an NBA team, that means the teammates you have are also NBA players, correct? They're gonna make it happen for you. Like
No, they're
it
not.
would be so much
Kyle
easier
Korver
than
stands in the corner and just gets the ball
But-
thrown
but,
to him
okay.
and shoots the three because he's open.
Ho-
because
yeah.
they get their teammates get him open.
Hold on. But if you're making that point that my teammates are NBA players, then my teammates are Major League Baseball players, so I can go out there and strike out
But
every
a lot
time,
of-
and it doesn't matter
Doesn't
because
matter.
the guy next to me is going to hit it.
no, because that's not you contributing.
Yeah,
I'm not
I'm
saying-
not going to contribute.
Jason can catch a
jack
fly ball.
Shit
He
to
might
an
stand
NBA
out there
game.
in the outfield and catch fly balls all goddamn day. A fly ball's a fly ball, no matter who the fuck hit it.
Listen,
I swear.
when I was in
Not a
fourth grade,
chance.
I made
swear
a
to
double
you,
play.
Making a layup against an NBA player is so much easier than catching a fly ball.
You're out of your fucking mind.
If I
You're out of
hit
your
you-
mind.
You ever see how many major league players miss fly balls?
Listen,
All the time.
you are watching a compilation that's literally been taken from 1970 to fucking 2020, and you got 10 of them.
And I'm saying that it happens to the best of the best.
Very rarely. That's what
Bullshit.
I'm saying.
Listen,
Very rare.
Caleb.
Is it?
Can I make a point that you said something about the overweight, the big person? You can be good at basketball by just being big. You have to have no skill.
Yes, but
You have to have literally no skill. Being
No.
big makes you good at basketball if you're tall enough.
That was what carried
That-
Shaq through a lot of his
Yes.
career.
is if you have developed your skills at basketball
No.
your entire life.
No.
and you're
Free
a big
throws
guy.
are a huge part of basketball. Did Shaq ever develop that?
Shaquille O'Neal did not start playing basketball until halfway
You
through
can't
high
stop
school.
a guy who can just grab the
But
ball
listen,
and put it in the basket without
okay,
even jumping.
there-
He doesn't
there-
have to have skill to do that.
Okay.
And Shaq is a phenomenal
Okay.
player, and I'm not talking shit about Shaq, but it's
Sounds
just
like, you're talking
like
shit about Shaq.
you don't need the skill if you have the body, and when it comes to that.
Okay, but don't you think that the way some of those people are gifted that way and they're that big, there are also some people that are gifted with hand-eye coordination that just smack the shit out of the ball?
Agreed completely.
Yes.
I was going to bring that up. Hand-eye coordination is not something that you're just gifted with. You learn it through all kinds of
You don't think
activity.
some people are more talented with that than others?
You might start off with better hand-eye than others, yes.
Yeah.
But that is a trait of that you build over time
But-
through skill.
but-
being big and being good at a sport just because you're big is not impressive.
But that
No,
doesn't
dude,
happen, though.
There are
You
tons
can
of
get
big
these
guys
dudes,
that are not good
Yeah.
at basketball.
Yeah.
Tons of them.
And
And they
they're-
played high school, and they're fucking 7 foot tall, never even make it to college.
There are also tons of big guys in the NBA that aren't good at all, and they're in the NBA because they're big.
I disagree. They may be there because they're big. They may not be as talented as a shorter guy. That may be true, but you can't prove that there's not somebody out there that hasn't practiced as much with baseball that just has more natural talent at hand-eye coordination.
I
Can
didn't
you?
catch that. I didn't understand that.
Can't prove it.
Yeah, no, I think the argument was kind of dumb anyways, because we're comparing apples and oranges.
Well, you started
You
comparing
started
apples
this-
and oranges,
you
buddy.
started this
What's wrong with
bullshit.
comparing apples and oranges?
They're both fruit.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know. That was just, I thought that was a saying.
it is. But
It's a stupid saying.
It is. Anyways, baseball's garbage.
Yes, it's a terrible sport to watch. I've never, even when I was in the peak of
the
playing
only
baseball,
good thing
never
about
wanted to watch
baseball in my life is that movie Moneyball. Like
Great movie.
that's
That was a
the
great
only
movie.
thing that
Yeah.
ever interests me in baseball. And after I watched it, I went, I might get into baseball. Never once have I watched a baseball game since then.
it. It was just Brad Pitt. That's why you liked it.
Jonah Hill is what made that movie.
It was definitely better baseball was when they were on steroids. Because when I was a
Yeah.
kid and I was in St. Louis, Mark McGuire,
Hell yeah, dude.
Sammy Sosa, like they
Those
were
are my
killing it,
heroes
crushing it.
when I was a kid.
yeah.
Crushing it.
Like
Well, I think that they should just let it would make
All
it so much,
athletes
all
use
athletes
steroids?
should be able
I
to do
agree.
whatever they want because it would make it so much more entertaining if you just had a
what
bunch
the hell
of
is
beasts.
what the hell are sports for? For entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why, if they're willing to do that to their body to make themselves better, and if you make it where they're all allowed to do it, so it's an equal playing field, why the hell wouldn't you want souped up athletes so that our sports are more entertaining?
You know,
I
I
agree.
completely agree.
Because they baby them. It's the same reason why like football is the way it is now. Because they're all worried about like the CTE or whatever it's called. Those guys are getting paid millions to be out there, and they know what they're doing.
As long as you know the risks of what you're doing and you're aware of it and you're saying, I don't care, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's jobs that are far
I
more
think
dangerous
maybe
than
like
a football
in
game.
football,
Yeah.
there were times where people weren't quite aware of how dangerous it was and the concussions that they were getting. But it's been a long time since we've known about that. Just let them do what they're going to do if they're willing to do it.
Yeah. That's like who's the guy that was the bike rider? What's his name? Armstrong. What's his first name?
Lance.
Like they took away like 4 of his Tour de France's or whatever because he was
On steroids.
on steroids. But when you look more into that stuff, everyone in the field was on steroids. Like in order to compete, you had to be because everyone was doing it. He just was winning all the time. Therefore, he got caught. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the rest of the field was on fucking juice too. You know what I'm
He was
saying?
just better.
He was just better.
Like if they would have
playing
all not
field-
been on it, he'd have still won.
Exactly. The playing field was level, and he was better. You know, and it's that type of shit's annoying to be like, you know, they took that shit away. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, but
Have you any of you seen I think it's the Astros that are getting in trouble for cheating?
Sign stealing thing, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I think kind of like if you're more superior and you're talking about advantages and stuff like that, they like figured out calls and stuff like that on other teams. They figured out their signs and their call, like what they were calling for pitches and stuff. And they started using like a trash can lid to let the batter know what the next pitch was going to be. I see nothing wrong with that.
How is that
they
cheating?
also
You're not allowed
they
to do
started
it.
wiring their guys and telling them through like
Well, isn't it funny? Like, why didn't they
into
think,
it, but-
what's that guy with the trash can lid doing over there?
Right.
Well, they did.
Well,
obviously
here's
not
my
their fault,
question.
But they're trying to like just completely bury.
Here's
this,
my question:
this entire
How
management now.
how did they get the signs from the other teams?
They studied and analyzed what they were doing, which I think
That's
should not. Yes,
how is that
exactly.
wrong? That's insane.
I don't think it is. It's a one up.
like
You're
if you
smarter.
broke into their locker room and stole their playbook or their,
Exactly.
like that's illegal. But like if you're just smart enough,
Studying
to,
your enemy and beating them.
yeah, like
That's just an
isn't
art of
that
war,
like a
right?
Big tactic of like coaches and things of like watching old games of
Yes.
teams they're gonna play and watch how they play and how the coaches, coach and all that so they can be prepared. Like that's insane.
I might be missing some details, but that's what I
Yeah.
know of it. And if that is the instance, I don't think there should be one reason they should be getting fined.
I asked somebody about it this morning to baseball, and they were like, "No, it's big time cheating." And they made a point, and I didn't listen because baseball sucks. But like they have some reason why they think that was.
Is their favorite team the team that they stole the signs from them? Like,
No,
these are
but they-
important questions.
But I saw this like replay of this. It was like a windy day on a football field, and the coach's like playbook like catches the wind, flies in the middle of the football field, and the other team's like defensive guy picks it up, just starts reading it. The ref runs over there and rips it out of his hand.
I mean, like, why wouldn't you?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
of
It's
course.
right there. I'm not allowed to read paper that's on the field,
Yeah.
right? That can't be a rule.
It's litter. I mean, he just picked it. He dropped it like it's trash now.
Amen.
That's right. It's on him to hold on to his own shit.
We all agree, though, baseball sucks.
It does.
Yep.
It does. And they could not make a 3 on an NBA team.
The other best thing about baseball that ever happened was when that guy threw a pitch and the dove flew right in front of the baseball and it just exploded. I mean, what are the chances of that? Like,
I don't know.
It is cool. That happened like 20 years ago, and I
Yeah.
still see it pop up. every now
yeah,
and then.
it's incredible. Like a poor dove. Like I feel bad for the dove.
I bet it took
for
that
going out
dude-
that way, but like
It had to take that pitcher a while to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
And the batter and the catcher.
Yeah.
They're like, what the hell just happened to the ball? It just disintegrated in the thin air. It looked like the ball exploded like I had a bomb there. That's the coolest dove kill of all time, though,
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Bad thing was he had went dove hunting that morning and that was one over the limit, so he got fined.
Yeah, I read about that.
I killed a bird one time golfing.
Really?
Yeah, there's like a whole flock of them sitting next to the green. I'm pretty good at not hitting the green, so it landed right in the middle of them. When I went over there was a dead bird right beside my ball.
I thought you were going to say you hit it with your putter.
When we were in a tournament a long time ago at Overton,
Yeah.
one of those kids killed a bird.
Yep. He killed a robin. Like, it just destroyed it.
He was that guy was a fucking inspiration. He was a
Yeah,
little
man.
person who was way better at golf than me.
He played
way better.
He played baseball with me, too, when we were kids.
When you say little person, you mean like Austin?
Basically, I mean, Austin's about technically it could be, but no. I mean, he was had suffered from dwarfism.
Yeah.
He was a little person, and he was just incredible at golf. Like he'd
Yeah.
stand there and just smack the ball, and it'd go flying. And it's like
He was just a very
how do
athletic person.
Yeah, how do you hit like that? Like
Yeah, I don't understand. I'm bigger than most of the people I play golf with, and they can just it's all about technique. Like, they can crush it compared to me.
Yeah.
It's really just about a nice, smooth swing, man. If you try to force the ball,
Yeah,
it's going
completely.
nowhere.
Yeah. That's why golf is the hardest sport ever
Agreed.
to be good at.
It's like the opposite. Everything you should do is the opposite of what you think you should do.
Feels like that. Yep.
Golf kind of sucks too, though.
No. I can't give you that one.
I like it. You should get into it.
I have,
It's
as I was
best,
just saying.
It's the best therapy, I think, at least. Like, I went out there and it's just you and yourself and the, I don't know.
That's what I like about it. I
Beer
don't.
cart.
Nah, I can't drink and play. I'll just do terrible.
I like that it's not a team sport, right? And if you fail, it's on you. If you win, it's on you. You know what I mean? You get all the glory or all the shame. I'm down with that. Personal responsibility.
He's a libertarian anarchist, so he can only play golf. No
The
collective,
rule book.
nothing.
That's right. I don't need to rely on anyone else.
Exactly.
So when are you going to switch to the light side and become an anarchist like the rest of us? Ethan?
I totally agree with most of y'all's talking points. I just don't, like I said, I don't think, actually it's something I meant to bring up last time, but you had got me a little intoxicated.
Yeah, it was my fault. My fault that you
was.
drank too much.
You were pouring them.
You didn't have to drink it.
No, the only way to, and I was talking with about this with Austin, I think the only way you could actually implement it is doing away with like a monetary system. Like if you can pay people off, it's always going to go back to the same structure. If they did away with currency and stuff like that, where there's an incentive to do bad for a certain amount of something, like I don't know what you'd go to, I guess trading like they used to with
barter system.
Yeah, the barter system, but to me that would be the only way to truly get it going. Because if somebody comes up to me, like I said, with $50 million, it's going to be hard to turn down, and most people will take it. But if he comes up and I've got a couple, if he has nothing to incentivize whatever with, then I think it's a lot harder.
He's always going to have something, whether it's like money or whatever.
I think it's a lot easier with money.
But there's always going to be value to something,
Yeah.
and someone's always going to be able to give that value to someone else to try to get them to do something corrupt. So I think the real problem here is that people's minds are not changed. You get enough people that understand what freedom is and what the right thing to do is, you'll have enough people that stop those corrupt ones. Right now, you don't have people caring or even knowing what the right and what the wrong thing is. And so, yes, it wouldn't work. But if enough people's minds were changed, you could stop the corruption. Because people are going to be corrupt. People are going to break the law, right? They're going to do the wrong thing. But if everyone is aware of what's going on, we don't let that guy. You see what I'm saying? We stop them before they become what they are.
No, I look. I said I'm on you guys' side.
'Cause, I mean,
almost all of it. Other than the fact that I just don't think it's realistic in today's time.
It's not.
And it like
I agree with
think
you. It's
might have
not.
made a point. It could take generations.
Who knows? And it may not ever work.
Yeah, no.
That's
we're
the other
we're,
thing.
We're way far gone.
But the thing about it is like if you know the truth, what are you going to do? You're going to sit back and not tell it to people? That's wrong. You know what I mean? Regardless of what the end goal will be or what will happen with all of this, like the only thing you can do is just tell people what you know. Tell them the truth.
At the very least, just live by the truth.
Exactly. That's the real thing, is living by what you know. Changing your own actions and spreading it. And then never knowing if that's going to become something, because I don't think it'll happen in our lifetime. You know what I mean? But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I do disagree on there needs to be some type of law enforced.
Yes, natural law.
Yes. And
Because any other law,
But it needs to be enforced, is what I'm not saying that.
that's the beauty of natural law, is that it enforces itself.
Of course.
It just needs to be understood, right? Because the beauty of natural law is if you understand it, whether you choose to follow it or not, it's going to take care of you in a negative or a positive. But that's the only law there is.
now I do kind of see where you're coming from, right? There needs to be someone who goes out and, if someone murders my neighbor, we can't just sit around and let that happen, right? We can't wait for the cause to become the effect for that person way down the line because he's fucked
That's
up.
not, and I don't think that's what natural law states. I think it's just there will be an effect, whether that be you taking the effect out personally or something
even,
else happening,
or even hiring someone to do it.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I don't know. I heard Ben Shapiro say some video, and it just made me so mad. He was talking about rape culture or something like that, and he said, I mean, people need to report things to the police. The best way to get rid of evil is to get law enforcement involved. And I just died laughing.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
the problem is that they literally swear to enforce all the laws, the good ones and the immoral ones.
Yes.
And by doing so, they're all bad.
Yeah.
And it's because people don't have an understanding of what natural law is. If there's no victim, there's no crime.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line here.
The victim is the victim in quotes is the government mostly, and they're not the victim. They're just saying, because we said that you are supposed to do this, for our benefit and you haven't, now we're a victim of it, so you must pay the punishment.
Well, what Shapiro said isn't exactly not true. I mean, it's not far-fetched, though. I mean, right now, in today's society, that is the best. What exactly did he say?
What he said that people should report sexual assaults to the police because the best way to get rid of evil is with law enforcement. But to me, that statement is the best way to get rid of evil is with evil.
Right.
That contradicts itself. You can't do that. Now, you can take law enforcement and take it out of what it means today by the structure of police officers and go, the best way to get rid of evil is law enforcement. But you have to completely redefine what that means.
Well, of course,
but what he means is the police, and that's just
right
completely
now,
wrong.
He's right. Of course,
he's not right because
Caleb,
they don't really like the conviction rate for rapists is like 6%. So they're not stopping that evil.
Well, also rape culture is
a lot of rape.
myth.
No, I understand that.
Well, let me keep going real quick. Would you rather someone not report the fucking crime?
Here's the thing.
And let me continue as well.
Don't answer the question.
Yeah, don't
Sit
answer
there.
the question.
Sorry.
I mean, that was rhetorical. I don't even want you to answer because obviously it's a fucking... Yes, you would want them to report it.
I would like to answer real quick.
And also, do you instead you want them to enforce it themselves? You want them to go about taking it into their own hands and dealing with it how they should? Because that's against the law.
Why?
Whose law? Man's law?
Yes.
Man's law is irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant because it's completely relevant in our society today, right now. You're talking about a theory.
I'm talking about the way I believe things should be and how it could be.
It's not even
We can do
believing
that all
it.
day.
I'm not going to talk. I don't want to sit here and talk about how to navigate through the horrible society that we're in because I don't. We already have to do that. Everyone has to do that. I want to change things.
Let me ask this question. Or
No. I want you to speak.
If somebody comes and kills my kid, right, and I know they killed that kid,
Yeah.
if I go and kill them, is it less moral than if the state does it?
No.
Okay.
But he would be
Of course.
put in prison for
Sure.
it,
Yes.
possibly sentenced to death, depending
Yes.
on how far he took it.
No, he would definitely go to jail for it.
Yeah.
It's taking actions in your own
Okay,
hands. It's completely illegal.
my answer to your other question that you didn't let me answer is, of course I would want someone to report a sexual assault or a rape, okay? But I don't think that, and I think that sometimes it does, sometimes it works, but I don't think that necessarily reporting these things to police benefits people. I think if there was different systems in place, like private businesses that do investigative work, things like that, because there already are PIs and things of that nature. Typically, when someone gets raped, like I don't know the numbers, but I think it's probably the majority of the time, they do report it to a friend or a close one, right? So they are telling someone, and then from there, they have to decide what they want to do. And if you don't want to do anything about it, that's on you.
It's
there's
on
nothing,
you.
There's nothing anyone can do,
100%.
right?
So if it's
but hold up, but I think, and I this is just my opinion, right? I think a lot of times the reason people don't want to go to the police is because police, from the start of a sexual assault allegations, they don't take it seriously, whether it's credible or not. They never take it seriously from the start. And people don't trust the police to deal with those kinds of things. So they don't go to them, they don't report it, and then people use that against them to go, well, why didn't you report it to the police?
Well, do you believe in innocent until proven guilty or not?
Yes, I do, right? But you still that doesn't mean you don't take the claim seriously.
Yeah, well, of course.
It's you take it seriously, investigate, find the evidence, and then figure out what happened.
You take it seriously by investigating and,
yes, but
and stuff like
they
that, not by
don't.
believing immediately that it's true.
Of course not. No, I would never want anyone to do that.
Yes.
You'd be a horrible person if you immediately believed someone who came to you and said, this happened to me, right? Without evidence being right there in front of you at the time. But the distrust in the police causes them to be even more ineffective because they're already so horrible. People don't even want... They're not going to go give a report to a good cop because they don't trust any of them. You see what I mean? And I think that people should report these things, but I think that without a system of the police force we have, with something different, people would still report it, whether they wanted to take action themselves or find a friend or hire someone to deal with that. Then that would be the case. And I think you would find that it's the rate of convicting these people or getting punishment on them would be so much higher than the police, the job that the police do. Because, I mean, first off, I think our government has set up a system for rapists to essentially get away. Rape, to me, is one of the worst crimes you can commit, and it's one of the least punished in the sense of, if you do get convicted, the punishment for it isn't that severe. It's not. Compared to a lot of other things, you don't get that much time for raping someone. It depends on the case.
Yes, you should look into that more before just making that claim.
I've seen lots of different ones, and it's like I said, it depends on the case, but a lot of times it's like 6 years, something like that. Like,
what do you think the punishment should be?
Life.
What do you think the punishment should
and
be?
Castration. Life.
What do you think? So everything would be life. So
if
now,
you take someone's life,
so hold on.
Why is your life worth anything?
Are you
now,
an anarchist, or do you believe that you should be putting people in cages and enforcing laws like that? Like, say we go to your dystopian world, do we still put people in cages?
Someone shoots my wife, right? I'm gonna take their life. I'm not gonna put them in a cage. I'm gonna kill them.
Or they kill you.
Their life for a life. That's equal, right?
So a rape for a rape?
No, because, well, sure, yeah. I mean, that would be fair.
All right, deal.
You know, but like one of my favorite things that Ben Shapiro says is, I'll do the rape.
Yeah, he's the rapist.
I'll do the rape. I'm fine with that. One of my favorite things Shapiro says, and I agree with him 100%, is that I think one of the punishments for rapists should be castration. Straight up.
I agree. That would be a good punishment.
The punishment for rape is so minor compared to other crimes, and I think it's one of the worst, and especially like child rapists and stuff, or even like having child porn or things like this. They get out very, very easily, and that to me seems like by design.
I totally disagree with you on our society is designed to let rapists go free and all that. That's
not let
nonsense.
Rapists go free.
Here's the problem now is
the
that
punishment doesn't fit the crime.
It doesn't.
Is what you're saying.
You talk to any person on how they would feel if they or one of their loved ones was raped, what they feel the person should get and deserves. It does not match what any rapist has ever gotten.
And that's in any sense of a crime. And I agree.
Not always.
Because if someone killed you, I would want them to fucking die immediately. I would want them to be put on a noose and die. No, you don't get the death penalty for killing someone. You get out in 4 fucking years.
No,
a lot of times.
Yes, a lot of fucking times you get out after 4 years of killing. You're out on the streets again. This happens all the time, especially in Memphis. What I'm saying is, if it was up to the people that had some sentiment around the person and were their family members or something like that, if you let them pick, they would obviously say the harshest punishment. You would go, it's one of two ways. You pick numbers, and some people disagree with them, or you say everyone for doing a crime above this tier goes immediately sentenced to death. You can't say, you're going back and forth on, I think it should be either one of two ways, because that's way too nitpicky.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Like,
I think you're thinking that I'm saying that the justice that I would prefer in an anarchy society could only happen with a government, but that's not true.
So, answer my question. By the way, I do agree with you that people should be punished more harshly for rape and other serious crimes, of course. But I also don't believe what you said about it being built around letting them go free. And there's also a very, very vague description of what rape is now. Rape could be me putting my hand on your waist.
No, I agree with that.
Which is fucking
I watched a Gavin McInnes compilation
battery
today.
Yeah, well, it's called sexual assault. But me saying something to you that you didn't like now could be charged as sexual assault. Yeah, there is no clear line, and it's dangerous.
The lines are getting ridiculously blurred.
Yes.
It's very dangerous.
And
I completely agree with you. But
a
lot of that has overshadowed the real issue of people do get raped, men and women alike.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, that actually happens. And the punishment for it is just never, to me, what it should be. I've never seen one that fit the crime, in my opinion.
That regretting sex after you've done it is rape?
No.
Absolutely not.
That's most fucking people I talk to that I know that say they've been raped.
It's that,
I was there the night that they had sex with a person, was completely on it the whole time, and then regretted it, and was like, "Oh, he raped me." Yeah, and it's like, no, he fucking didn't.
No, I agree with you that it's
if
a lot of that is horseshit.
because men take it a whole different. Girls will come up and twerk on your dick without saying a word to you. You don't even know who the girl is. And if I just went up and did that to a girl, she could just scream rape, and that would be the end of my life. Men tend not to.
This is where personal responsibility comes in.
Yeah.
Right? Where so many people don't understand what that is, and they don't live by it. You know, you go make bad decisions, bad things are going to happen, right? And that's just it, right? You go out, you go get drunk, you sleep with a guy, and the next day you go, man, that was a fucking horrible decision. Take some fucking personal responsibility. You made a bad decision, but he didn't rape you.
Here's the problem. No one takes personal responsibility anymore.
Which is the problem, one of the problems with society.
Agreed. We could talk all day about the wrongs with society, but...
Which it just boils down to what I said earlier. People have to change their mind. They have to start taking personal responsibility for their actions and understanding what the truth is.
Agreed.
If you can get people to start doing that, things can start changing. But until then, nothing will change.
And that'll be a long time before it does.
Of course.
But my question about putting people in cages in your dystopian world that you talk of.
I have no opinion of that because I haven't thought that out. I have never said that I have all the answers to any of this. I think a lot of it will...
That is a good question, though. If someone breaks natural law, which means that they've stolen something from someone else in different forms, is it right to put them in a cage?
I mean, I don't know. I think that, and this is, something that I don't really know how you would implement this either, but I think a system that they used to use that it always sounded pretty fair to me was when someone would do something like that, steal something from someone's property or something like that, and was caught, their punishment was they had to go work on that person's property and pay off the debt that they took from them by essentially physical labor. Mm-hmm. And that's not, if somebody murders your wife, you don't want them to come work in your house. It would have to fit the crime, but
right.
That seems more beneficial than throwing someone in a cage, because I don't think prisons work. I mean, for the most part, prisons are not helpful to rehabilitating people. At least American prisons. You have special cases where people come out better, but so I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't think that's a good idea, but it's something that would have to flesh itself out once a new system was in place, and I think it would.
You'd have to do something because some people are not going to. They're not going to follow the law. They're not going to follow natural law. They're not going to do it. What do you do with those people? Because they're wreaking havoc on the rest of society.
From what I know, it's not your place.
Well, no, if they're encroaching on you and your property, it is your place.
Yeah, but until then, it's not your place to decide what to do with those.
No. I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't have a problem. Like, if somebody did something to Daniel and he was like, "Hey, man,
need some
let's
help."
go." Yeah, like I don't think that's not your place.
Yeah, no, I'm saying you or someone you know, obviously, but
and even like if no one has been personally harmed or encroached on, like say there's a gang in your town and you've heard about they're causing trouble but they haven't done anything to you, and you think, I want to do something about this, like that's your place to go handle that before anything happens to you.
Yeah, I mean it's the same it's the same premise that like the whole whatever self-defense with the firearm thing. Like I don't have to know the person that's being threatened. Like if I see somebody being threatened with a weapon or something,
you have the right to use the force necessary to stop them.
Yeah.
Would you guys say that civilizations used to follow natural law back before there was law?
Yeah, I think that it was more like that than it is this police state. Like I don't think this is normal. Like if you told the people that founded this country that we were going to have to walk around carrying 2 forms of identification, and any time some yahoo in a freaking uniform stopped you, you had to show it to them or they're going to take you to jail, they'd think it was Nazi Germany or something.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's
Because anytime you guys talk about it, I just think back to like Indians and European settlers and all that shit.
Yeah, I really do think a lot of those types of cult, and not all of them. I think some of them may have been aware, but we're like, fuck it, we're gonna go fuck up people and do what we want. But I think a lot of those cultures did, just because natural law is evident, it's observable, I think it just, without any outside influence, you just kind of gravitate towards it. Whether you're going against it or with it, it's kind of the basis of your culture. And I think it was that way for a long time for a lot of different cultures. But
Yeah, I mean, people still broke it.
yeah,
They still
100%.
broke it, but no one was getting stopped because they didn't have an ID on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like no one was. Oh, you need to show me your permit so that you can fish here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That type of shit is absolutely insane.
Have you guys, and he probably was talking about this, have you ever seen the guy that calls himself, I think he calls himself the Natural Man, and they arrested him for, he was like fishing in a stream. He was just the old dude with like,
Yep.
you know.
Just like a mountain man looking
yeah,
guy.
yeah, and he
know
was
you're
like,
talking about.
and they were like, what gives you the right to fish in the stream? And he was like, I was hungry. This is a stream or whatever, I could fish in it. And
Right.
it was just funny, like the whole thing. And then they held him in contempt of court, and they were like, "You're gonna have to come with us." And he was like, "You're gonna have to pick me up." It's like, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that
I
video?
have seen that video.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
Yep.
Would you guys say that most people live natural law? Like live by natural law?
I think most people are convinced that man-made laws are the right thing and moral. They don't even. I think that people. I'm with you. Okay. I think that people, because it is evident, people understand that taking from someone else is wrong. Yes, but I think that they also give weight to the rest of the bullshit because the government said, right? And so they go, well, those are good laws too, because most of us think that it's a good law. But that's not correct. That's not right, because you're holding someone back. You're keeping someone from doing what they want to do when they've not hurt anyone. Like I said a minute ago, the only crime that exists and that is real crime is when there's a victim. If there is no victim, there has been no crime committed.
Agree, and I think most people would say the same. I think most people would agree with that. I think more
Then why do people follow the speed limits? Like, why do people go and get permits for things? Why do people go get licenses?
Have you ever driven on a road and almost been ran off of it from a dumb fuck driving 75
If I get
miles
ran off
an
of
hour
it,
down the road?
then they have committed a crime because I'm the victim here. What I'm saying is that if the guy wants to run 75 miles an hour down my road right here, it doesn't hurt anyone, there's no crime that has been committed.
Another
It's
thing
the
about
chance of
speed
hurting
limits
someone.
is low speed limits are more dangerous because people are always going to speed. If you're going 45 and someone's going 75, that's dangerous when they come up behind you. In countries where they have much, much higher speed limits, they have far less traffic accidents.
You're talking about the Autobahn?
No, there's a bunch of countries who have very, very high speed limits compared to the U.S., and their traffic accidents are far less. The speed is not the issue. It's people going slow and people in a hurry, weaving in between them. That causes most of the wrecks. I mean, like, and you're always going to have traffic and things like that, but like speed limits, I think low speed limits make things more dangerous.
Oh, disagree. Move on.
When's the last time you went at least 10 miles close to the speed limit? Like,
every day I have a tracker in my car when I'm driving the pies.
Well, you
Literally,
you have okay, so you have to.
It calculates speed, acceleration, curvature,
Mileage.
and what's the other one? Fuck.
Mileage.
No, if you wouldn't have said it, I'd have gotten it.
So Papa John's puts that in your car?
Yeah, you put it in your car every time you, like, at the start of the day, so it tracks all your runs out of a rate of 100.
Do they get on to you if something's off?
I never put my box in my car, and so they're always on to me. But
I got you. But if you were to accelerate too much,
so they
or
have rules that say you can get. It's like you. Get
not everybody's
strikes after
driving the same car.
92.
So how does that work?
No, you have an individual box that
I understand
tracks your
that.
speed, your acceleration,
I understand
your
that.
curvature, and your.
But-
fuck, what's the fourth one?
But
Can't
a
believe I
fucking
can't
burnt out Pinto doesn't accelerate at the same rate as my car does. So why am
Yeah,
I
but-
held to the same?
But
fucking
excessive
standard?
acceleration is excessive acceleration.
Did
They're
I
probably not
hurt
going to get
anyone?
onto you for not being able to get up to speed fast enough.
Yeah, no, it only tracks if it's accelerating too fast, if you're going over the speed limit. If
Oh, so you're
curving
telling me
around
that I can't
corners too
accelerate too fast, even though I get up to speed limit faster
Yes,
than
no,
that Pinto does.
I completely agree.
I
that
think they'll write you a
acceleration isn't
ticket
illegal.
for that.
They shouldn't be able to. Excessive acceleration.
But I think they do.
I mean, I've never seen it.
Immoral.
I feel like the only time they would is if you were spinning tires when you did it.
immoral, who
But
got
yeah,
hurt.
but yes, either way, I disagree with it's more dangerous to have slower speed limits. That's fucking ridiculous to say, but
Well, I mean, the evidence disagrees with you, so.
try getting in a wreck with a tree at 75 compared to 30, and you tell me who lives.
You tell me.
Why are you running into a tree?
I've
You can't
never hit a
control your
tree.
Vehicle?
Has anyone
Are
at
you
this
drunk?
table ever hit a tree?
I've never hit a tree.
What I'm saying is,
I drove a
you
car at
said
2 years
lower
old
speeds
through
are
the
more
woods
dangerous
and
than
hit
higher
maybe
speeds.
one tree.
Do you hear me? Lower speeds are more dangerous than higher speeds is exactly what you just said.
But I didn't
When you
say
have a
that
bunch of
without
people.
an explanation.
If a bunch of people are going 30, I promise you, it will be a lot less dangerous than a bunch of people going 100.
You didn't listen. You didn't listen to my point. You gotta
I heard
listen.
your
You gotta
point.
listen to what I'm saying.
But it's
if
stupid.
there's a bunch of people going 30, but there's one asshole who says I'm not gonna follow the speed limit. I'm gonna go 55, 60. That is more dangerous than if everyone was going 55 or 60.
Of course, so go
when
the
traffic
same
is
fucking
going,
speed that everyone else is and quit putting everybody's lives at danger.
but there's always going to be that asshole. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying what he's doing is right.
He's the one that runs into the tree at
but
70.
but that's not how it works, because typically they're drunk, they end up surviving, and they kill a whole family who was trying to drive safe, right?
Oh, that's not.
My point is very valid. Like, if everyone's going the same speed limit, you're all going. When people are getting close,
Okay.
it's easier to get out of the way of someone. It's much safer if everyone's going the
everyone's
same
going
speed.
speed
If the
limit?
speed limits
Thank
are
you.
higher, people are less likely to speed because they're already going fast enough to get to where the fuck they're going. This is proven. This is proven
If
from other
everyone,
countries.
what you just said is if everyone goes the same speed, it's safer. Yes, agreed. If
But
everyone's
people
going
don't.
40,
Because
because
they're being
people
restricted.
are always in a hurry, and the speed limits are fucking
you know
ridiculous.
why they're restricted? Because cars kill 50,000+ people a year.
in the U.S.
Yes.
Even with the speed limit.
Look at
You know how
the
much nicer our
statistics
fucking
of
car-
other countries.
The countries you're probably talking about are the podunk they only go 40 miles per hour bullshit cars with 3 wheels is what you're probably referring to. I could almost guarantee it if I looked it up. I haven't
Nope.
seen these stats, but they don't have the fucking cars and
Don't
power
worry.
that our cars do.
Tomorrow I'll be sending you a bunch of facts.
Good.
Don't worry.
It's all right. I sent him a bunch of facts about homeschooling. He
Yeah, he
disregarded
goes,
it.
they're all idiots.
Yeah. No, I mean obviously that whole thing was me half joking, but no.
That's pretty cool that the Oculus guy was homeschooled. I mean, like, the Oculus is not that special to me, but like it's pretty
impressive.
famous, popular device.
Yeah.
That was patented in 54.
Jesus Christ.
Not by him.
By the government.
I'm not sure who patented it, but they did have virtual reality goggle headset patent in 1954 that was almost looked exactly like the Oculus.
That's crazy.
God, I had one more good question about natural law that I wanted to ask you guys. Oh, do you think it ties a lot into religion? Like, natural law came from a religious
No.
life?
No. Natural law has always been, ever since the creator created
good
everything,
Lord.
right?
No, natural
So-
law is a theory of
It's not a
how
theory.
to live your life.
It's not a theory.
Based off of, basically, from what I've seen, Judeo-Christian values.
No, here. Okay, let me explain it to you.
Say
From what
some
from what I understand, right? Natural law has always been here. Religions haven't. Religions have adapted parts of natural law into the religions.
At the core of most religions, it talks about it.
Yes, there is. You can find natural law in lots of different religions, but it didn't come from religion.
It came after.
No.
The theory of natural law came far
It's not a
after.
theory.
Far after.
It's not a theory of natural law. Natural law just is. It just is. It always has been. Ever since the universe has been in
You got
place,
nothing?
these laws they're natural. Since everything was here, these laws have always been here. That's the whole essence of natural law.
Okay, that's what I wanted to distinguish. I didn't know if they had been pulled
No,
had been
yeah, they
pulled
don't-
from religion.
they don't
Because
come from
They
religions.
do coincide. A lot.
Yes, but I think that it was people who knew about natural law who put it in there and then muddied the waters with a bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
And
The thing is, though, is like religion, like even Christianity, doesn't have anything to do with natural law except the teachings of Christ. The things that he said lines up with natural law.
Yeah.
The rest of it doesn't. Maybe not even. It may not even have anything
Is
to
that
do with
Old
it, but it's
Testament?
not. It's not coexisting with what Christ said, and that's why at the center of a lot of these religions, you get the same message. Which, when you look at it and break it apart, it's basically natural law. That's what it's basically telling you. Treat others the way you would want to be treated.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
not
mean?
a
It's the
hard
golden rule.
conclusion to come to. It's
Which is why it's self-evident and always been here. And the only way that we're going to be free is that if everyone gets on the same page with it and stops creating laws that contradict it.
Well, wouldn't you say the reason that people break natural law is, well, it could be for a lot of reasons, but because people are less fortunate. Like, I was just thinking of an instance of somebody robbing somebody because they're hungry or because they need to provide for their family, stuff like that. Like, I don't really know where I was going with this.
That's an interesting point to bring up, because it's like I have this inner conflict when I hear about that. Like, I don't know how to feel about that, but I don't think that happens the majority of time. People are robbing people.
Well,
I think it does happen, but I don't know about that.
But then here's the other thing that you could look at. Why are they in the position that they're in to have to do that? Cause and effect, right?
No.
Sure, but there are times where people do all the right things and still end up poor, because
We were just talking
the
about
cause
the
and effect doesn't mean you do a good cause and you're going to get a positive effect on your life that's going to make you have money and wealth and all this and that. That's not necessarily what's going to happen.
It probably depends on what society you're talking about. I think it's very rare in our society that people do all the right things, they try to provide for themselves, and then they end up poor. I think that's very, very rare.
I would say
Ethiopia, how?
Because most people that are poor stay poor because there's a system built to keep them poor.
It is, but you can get out of it.
I disagree with that. And yes, you can get out of it, but those are outliers. Most people that are poor, they stay poor, they work 2 jobs, they try to provide for their family as much as possible, and they're dirt poor their whole lives. That's just the truth.
Dude, it isn't either, because that's going to sound like hell. But no, man, they stay poor because they perpetuate that same system. Yes, it's built there to keep them in it, but they're the ones smoking and drinking their money away. They're the ones taking their resources and their time and wasting it on Netflix and beer and cigarettes and lottery tickets.
Because not every poor person is doing
I didn't say every poor person, but the majority.
You're using that as that example, but that's not true. Like I said, there's many occasions where people are working 2-3 jobs, scraping by, trying to provide for their family. It happens. It's probably more than 40% of our country.
I completely distisagree that's more than 40%.
He sounds like Bernie right now.
Yeah,
I heard Bernie say these exact things.
And I'm not saying that I completely agree with
2-3 jobs that still can't provide for their families.
You do a decent Bernie.
The most anti-fucking Bernie ever, and I'm super for capitalism. I think that I'll be a multimillionaire,
saying
of course.
All his talking
but I'm
points.
going to play a different side real quick because I used to not believe it was true. The black community, especially, is being held down at a far more tremendous rate than we are.
Held down how?
Who's making them do it?
Systemically?
Define the word.
The system's holding them down.
The system created is holding African Americans down.
With undisclosed CIA documents, they're fucking pumping heroin and crack cocaine.
I don't disagree, but no one's putting it into their arm.
Each individual makes on whether or not they want to use the crack or the heroin.
Systemic would be when you walk into a place and you get a job and they go, "No, I'm not hiring you because you're black. I want to hire this person."
Then hell no, not systemically.
Well, and I'm not even talking about, because I don't have that much in the black community. I'm more out here where there's more white people, but I see it all the time, even if it's not drinking or like cigarettes or drugs or whatever that they're wasting all their money on. They're still wasting their money. Somebody that makes $25,000 a year has to go buy a $60,000 car. You're an idiot.
Agreed.
And you're going to end up being broke. And that's the thing. You're not doing everything you can to get out of it. You're not even trying, because I just and
I agree with that. And you can see I think it's called I don't know the exact documentary, but there's an entire documentary about professional athletes, black professional athletes that grew up in very poor cities and towns, and as soon as they got done playing, they were immediately bankrupt. They had $300 million in the bank. AI went completely bankrupt, recently, but anyways,
whose fault is that?
It's okay. So that's what I was about to say. I was grown up and raised to understand finances and learn how to manage money. Those guys never knew anything other than shooting a hoop in a basketball or catching a football or throwing a football. And the only way to get out of their circumstance was to do it at a level that would allow them to. Of course, they could have went and after they were 18 and got out of the gang that they joined to be protected because they would have gotten shot, robbed, mugged, and killed if they didn't join one. Yes, they could go on to learn all of that stuff later on in life, but I was learning that from a very small age. I mean, from when I was a small boy.
Sure.
You're still a small boy.
Yeah, you're right. But there are those things in place, and I'm not saying we have a fucking white privilege. I think that's completely ignorant to say. But
I think it comes more from a cultural
I do
thing
too.
of them holding back, and I don't even think it's necessarily. It's not like black culture holds them back.
It is.
But I think that if you want to talk about like systemic, I guess I don't really know, but I think that the media,
Let me emphasize what I'm
Hollywood, the music industry, and all of that has perpetuated this black culture.
Yes, exactly. That's their culture.
It's not even really black culture anymore. It's almost just American culture now.
Yeah, it's glorified on both sides.
That's materialistic. You got to have all the name brand stuff. You got to have
pussy,
all the
money, weed, bruh.
Yes, and that I think is one of the main factors that's holding people back, because they have the ability to make something of themselves, but when they get anything of a little bit of anything, they go, well, what I need to do is go buy some shoes or some chains or whatever. And
so
and
it still boils down to a mindset.
Yeah,
People's minds are not on the board.
It is,
yeah,
but
and that goes across the board.
I don't blame any group that's being held back 100%. I think it's about 50-50, because they're being brainwashed. They have the power to overcome that, but they need an outside force kind of trying to rewrite their way of thinking, because everything they see, everything they hear is, this is the way you're supposed to be. And there's a huge push from the left of, like with Kanye West, if you don't act a certain way, the way that leftists assume black people should act, then you're not really black.
Right.
You're not really a part of the black
There are
culture.
black
And that
people
is the most
canceling black
racist,
people.
horrible thing that they do.
Yes.
And they do it all the time. And it's a lot of times white people doing it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Please let me emphasize
Go
what
ahead.
I mean by I said black culture is the problem, because that could sound completely wrong. I don't mean. Well, here's the thing: is you see all over line all the time, like you said, the black people canceling their own people because they don't act a certain way, which is culture. But you also see people that when you say that, if I was to say that in a classroom, right, I would probably be beaten up after class, because it's a hard truth that doesn't want to be heard. And like you said, it has turned into more of an just American culture. It's the materialistic, the go get your bag, this and that. Like I see it everywhere, and that is the main problem.
Yeah.
Well, one of the problems, like I said, I brought up earlier. I mean, there is stuff holding the black culture down, but it was kind of born with when rap started. Rap it was the downfall.
Here's my thing. I think that by design, the government does throw certain things towards the black community by design to try to keep them exactly where they're at. But ultimately, it's a decision that each individual makes whether or not
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, Ethan,
No,
because
it's
here's
not.
the thing, dude.
You don't have the decision to grow up in a nicer house in a nicer neighborhood without gangbangers
but I have
on the
a
street.
decision
Yeah, but it
to
doesn't
realize
matter, dude.
that
Like,
these
it
things.
doesn't matter?
No, dude, I grew up in practically, like, it wasn't as dangerous, but I grew up in a crappy house. Like, I grew up, my parents didn't have any money. Like, going to McDonald's was a treat.
Your values were still different.
Oprah,
Sure,
It
I
doesn't
agree.
matter if you're growing up in a shitty
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
your
my
values
parents-
are different from
Oprah
the
grew up
values
with
of
a
hey,
dirt
go.
floor. And now she's Oprah.
And yes, guess what? There's only one Oprah.
Let me
No,
ask
there's
this question.
Beyonce. There's a billion
No,
different.
she's an artist.
She's a very, very wealthy.
Oprah is
African-American
not an
woman.
artist.
So, like, back to what we were
Are
talking
we
about.
talking about that. That's just completely irrelevant. We're
You could
talking
name
about
maybe
successful people.
fucking 10
Artists?
Artists are just
black artists that were successful. The women artists that you're talking about Oprah. There's not many.
I could name a bunch, not right off the top of my head, but there are a lot.
I bet we could go around this table and name 50 of them real quick. If we were all trying.
You could name 100, and there's still millions and millions and millions.
I understand. What's the
But
point
you
you're
can
making?
name
though?
100 white successful people and
Yeah.
millions and millions and
Yeah.
millions that aren't.
Yeah. Let me
The
ask,
point I'm making is that it's far and few between.
No one lets Jason talk.
to get out of their circumstances. That is my fucking point. It's absolutely valid.
listen, you were making a point the last. Obviously, anybody could make money in sales. Don't you think that anybody could do sales pretty much if they put their mind to it, bought some cheap books, and figured it out?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's keeping? Because you could go out there now. They're not even going to interview you. They'll just say, "Okay, you're 100% commission. Go sell something." So what is keeping people? It's laziness, or it isn't even that. Some people just don't desire to get out of it, and that's fine. But like, anyone could go be making $60,000 a year in a
Agreed.
sales job tomorrow.
I
So
agree with you.
So what? I don't understand what you're saying.
I said what I said to Daniel. I, from an early age, had that opportunity.
Sure.
People growing up in gang-banging hoods have to escape that hood, but they are stuck there until they're old enough to be able to do that. So they're started at a way later age.
But I think you're making an assumption there that
It's not.
that if you're in the hood, you can't be taught how to you can't be taught finances by your parents. Like, no parents in the hood are smart with money.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Regardless, man, it doesn't
but
matter.
your one personal experience doesn't mean that no one else had that
Yeah,
experience.
nobody's
or that
not
every
saying
person
that-
who's white had that experience, but anyone who isn't didn't. Like, you can't relate that. Like,
We live in an age, too, guys, where everyone, no matter who you are, has a phone in your pocket with unlimited information at your fingertips. If you want to know
It's
something,
different, 100%.
you can go figure out how to do it. That's what it boils down to. It still all boils down to personal responsibility, picking yourself up out of the dirt, and doing some shit for yourself. That's it.
Nice.
That is it. Now, because certain cultures, and this goes across the board for all cultures, that it's not necessarily desirable to do those things. It's not cool to do those things. To do what we're doing right here outside of our front yard is the cool thing to do. Okay, well, I don't know what to tell you, but look around you. It's not working. Everyone's in fucking misery. Do something different. Do something different. There's no excuses. It is literally
There's
all in front of
absolutely
you.
Excuses. And
No
look,
excuses.
I completely agree with you, but I'm playing the opposite side because there are people that I know that had to join gangs in order to stay alive when they were young because they would be literally had to for protection.
I can understand
for
that. Like,
protection.
I can
they
see
were
that.
either you join this gang
Or you die.
or you are now our enemy.
That's
And that's
no,
absolutely
that happens,
the truth
100%.
with that, and that's why people join.
In prison.
Do you really think the majority of kids join gangs just because they want to go shoot up the other gang?
No, because they think it's
join
cool.
gangs for protection.
Nah.
People-
I think they join gangs to have some kind of a
I think it's a
father
mix.
figure
I would
alive.
say
I mean, it's
percentage,
definitely a
but
mix,
it's a
and I'm
mix.
not saying there's a majority of one or the other. And I think the majority would be you either do join a gang or now you're the punk ass boy who didn't, and you're now a
agree with
pussy,
that.
and I'm gonna jump you and take your shit every time I see you. Oh yeah, we used to be little best friends riding our bikes together, but now we're older, and I want your shit because you're not gonna ride and die with me. That's how it works,
If you can't beat them, join them.
and that's
No.
how they do it.
Yeah, but what has it done?
I'm not saying it's done good. What I'm saying is now they're stuck.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is okay, perpetuating this is not going to help. So just let me die then. If you're going to kill me, kill
It's the
me.
dumbest shit I've ever heard.
You know,
would not do the same thing. If somebody,
Yeah, no
if y'all
one's
came up
gonna-
to me right now and said, "I'm going to shoot you in the face, or you're going to ride with me right now, and we're going to go kill someone else," I'm going to kill the other guy.
Nope, I'm not. I'm going to fight
I
you
am.
until I die because I'm not doing that. That's wrong, and I'm not doing it.
See that I don't believe you.
Yes,
Dude,
Wait.
are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me that... No.
If-
First of all, I'm not doing what you tell me to do just because you fucking told me to do it.
if I've got a gun
But-
to your fucking head, I'm saying I'm about to pull
Exactly.
the trigger on you
It's
and your
not-
family.
It's not an order. It's a
I'm going to fight
Do or die.
until I
demand by
die.
violence.
I will fight.
I
And
don't
if you
think
kill
you
me,
would.
that's it.
Because I think your survival instinct would go, my life I value my life
If that-
more than what these people are
If
about
you
to make me
believe
do.
that, then there is no hope for anyone, because we all have our fucking hand around our neck. All of us do. So we either flip to the fucking wrong side, the evil side,
No,
or we
what I'm-
fight and die here on the good side. That's it.
I really don't believe that you have that much,
Willpower.
to say I'm just going to die for some random person.
Yeah, at what cost though? Because if I go kill someone else with you, my spirit has died. I'm done. There are consequences. Cause and
Yes.
effect happens.
Yes, but-
I'm done. For
but
the long run, whatever,
death-
no matter what happens after.
Death is still death.
Okay.
And that's it. There's,
But
that's
is this
the
it?
worst.
Is this all that's here?
But who knows?
Listen,
I don't know.
Listen, here's the thing. We can speculate about all this all we want to. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to see some freaking examples of a kid being thrown into a car and going, you're going to go kill somebody with me now or you're dying.
Right. Like
I don't
that's,
see how that seems so implausible to you.
Also-
if I
Well,
grew
no,
up in a neighborhood and I'm just a kid who has to walk around my neighborhood and there's a gang in that neighborhood, you don't walk past a group of guys who are in a gang and they just not acknowledge you or talk to you
Listen,
at all.
do
They're gonna engage with you, right? And it's either gonna be positive or negative. If they start harassing you, but then say, "Hey, man," like that shit happens 100%, and
Yeah,
you're
they
either going
pressure
to
them.
have them beat on you, harass you, fuck with your house, fuck with your family, or you're gonna join and hope that shit settles down.
You think that's how they recruit? They just they make every young dude join
I
it?
think that is one of the ways. Yes.
How? How would that? How? They're not all in gangs.
I would love to get one of my friends on and just let them because you didn't grow up in fucking Orange Mound, Memphis, Tennessee. You grew up in bumfuck nowhere.
Okay, but everyone in Orange Mound isn't in a gang. So how did that happen if what you're saying is happening?
And I'm not just saying it's in Orange Mound. And the gang violence, I don't know if it's... Let's get somebody from Chirac in Chicago. Let's get somebody from Chicago to come talk that's been in gangs and was... Most people that you hear that joined gangs and got out of it, that's exactly the reason they joined. Almost every single person that you hear that survived the gang violence and got out and's on podcasts and stuff talking, that's what they're saying. They're not making that shit up.
Who? I need examples because
Good,
I
and
feel like
I
this
will
is
do the same
this
that
is
you did to me
pulled
that-
straight out of someone's ass until somebody shows it to me.
I just can't believe... Have you ever been out of Tipton County?
No, never.
It sounds like it.
How? I grew up outside of St. Louis, like not in a bad area, but like I've been to St. Louis, I've been to Memphis, I've talked to people. I don't understand. Like what you're telling me is these people can't get out because they're basically blackmailed and extorted into being in gangs that they can't get out of when they're young children.
See,
That's the point you're making. And I need some kind of evidence of that.
That might be the point he's making. That's not the whole point I'm
That's
agreeing
not
with.
the fucking point I'm making.
All
either.
I'm
It's
agreeing
nitpicking.
with is
But
that
how's that nitpicking? That's what you're
gangs
saying.
do that
Yes.
to children or young kids in the
Listen,
neighborhood. They
I didn't say that's
intimidate them
100%
into
of the
joining
kids
the gang.
in the neighborhood or get that happens to them.
This is something that does happen.
Frequently.
And it's not even 100% of the time of people joining gangs. That's how they get them. But that would be
Listen,
if I was the leader of a gang, that would be my main tactic.
Absolutely, it would not. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to blackmail some weak little kid into joining your gang
Well, it's
instead
not-
of
it's
they
not
got
that
plenty
they're-
of people
it's
coming
not that
to
they're
them.
weak kids. It's that when you have 15 guys all standing around you saying you're going to join our gang, what the fuck are you going to do?
Listen, if you are going to if you're recruiting somebody for the military, do you want the guy you had to draft that has no interest in being there, or do you want the guy that is ready to fight when he comes in?
But they're
not a military.
They're military.
There
are military.
Yes, they are.
There are
They have the same
militaries across
mindset.
the world who take people and turn them into soldiers, regardless if they want to do it or not, and they become effective soldiers. This is
No.
something that's known that you can do, and this is something that gangs do regularly. They manipulate young kids. They turn them into soldiers to get them to do what they want to do.
Manipulation and blackmail and extortion at the point of a gun are two different things.
Because fear is a form of manipulation. You can manipulate someone with fear, and that's what they're doing in some of these cases. They're scaring these kids into saying, you have no other option. You're going to join us or you're going to get fucked over.
Okay.
This happens. I don't understand how you can say that it doesn't.
Also, you said it's unrealistic for someone to come put a gun to your head and say, you're about to ride with me and go do this. That happens all the fucking time. to be, I've heard many stories where to be initiated into the gang, you've got to go fucking either kill somebody.
Yes, to be initiated, but you have to walk up to the gang first.
And go, hey, I
No,
want to
you
be in
don't
a
go
gang.
ask to be in a fucking gang. Most people don't go ask to be in a gang.
I think they actually do.
No, they know it. They have a friend
I'm with you.
that they grew up with that joined the gang. Hey,
Yeah.
man, come check out the spot. They go over there.
That's being asked to be in
They
a
go
gang.
over there, peer pressured, and
No,
then
that's being asked to be in, not asking to be in. You
And then
said
they go over there and
asked-
Yes,
hang out with
ask.
the boy.
Ask or asking. Fine.
No, because that's
Asked.
two completely different things.
Yeah,
if
but
I'm
if I'm
asking
asked,
to be
I can
in the
say
gang,
no.
it's
I don't wanna be in your
willingly.
gang.
That's the point. It's not a gun. Hey, you got to come with
This
me or
is,
your
but we
life.
can move on because there's so many things that I want to talk about. Bring up Skinwalker Ranch because that is interesting.
You just did. What you want to talk about it?
Well, he wanted to speak about it.
Well,
I've got some things I want
I
to
started
talk
to
about
watch
too.
a video today, and I'd seen some of it. It didn't get into any of the like super weird stuff, but the reason I wanted to kind of touch back on it is because Austin had told me this article came out where apparently they declassified some government documents, and
Before you go any further, go ahead and just tell us what Skinwalker Ranch is.
all right,
real quick,
So
just sum that
Skinwalker
up.
Ranch is a ranch in Utah, close to Salt Lake City, that has a long history of paranormal activity, supernatural activity, strange occurrences, strange things happening there.
And this is not just a few crazy people saying that they went there and said that. This is documented.
It started with I'm going to get the tribes wrong. The Navajo, I think, were the ones that lived there. Or no, it was like the Ute or something, the tribe that lived there. They named it Skinwalker Ranch because they said the Navajo cursed the land. And it was the path of the Skinwalker is what they called it. I don't remember the full description and details of what they claim to be skinwalkers.
They're
But
shapeshifters or something
there's
like
so
that.
many
correct?
different things that have happened there that like it's not just about the skinwalker unless it's one thing that's shapeshifting, and I don't know. But so it's this piece of land that has a long history of strange things dating back to Native American tribes, and it was sold. It was owned by a family that is still anonymous. No one knows who they were. It was like an elderly couple. They sold it to another family. This family, when they got there, they thought it was kind of unusual. There were bars and locks on every door, every window, like excessive amounts of locks on the
Right.
on the house. There were 2 metal rings with chains on them in the back, and they assumed that they had big guard dogs chained up there. This was weird, and to me, if I would have started to hear this story and not have known anything about it before, I would have thought, okay, whoever owned this house before was murdering people here and then
Right.
quickly dipped out, because one of the stipulations for the new owners buying the land was that they were not allowed to dig anywhere on the property without the previous owner's consent. That sounds like you have bodies hidden all over the place.
Absolutely.
Right.
What
Yeah.
the fuck? So the family has this new family has the farm, the ranch or whatever, and his plan is to raise cattle. Right, that's what he got the farm
Okay.
for, the ranch. And they're out one day. It's him, one of his teenage sons, and his father, and maybe one of his other kids, and they see a wolf walking down the field. Well, this wolf is like bigger than any wolf they've ever seen. They got kind of nervous. They're standing there watching it. It starts to approach them, and they kind of had a feeling that it didn't want to harm them. It seemed innocent. It was just kind of walking towards them. It wasn't aggressive in any way. It walks right up to them, and apparently, this is just the story. I have no idea, but this part, it's like, what's funny is I can believe there being a giant wolf, but the fact that the older gentleman, the man's father, reached his hand out and pets the wolf, that's where I'm like, is this real? That
Right.
seems like some bullshit.
Seems a little wild.
So they were like, okay, this wolf is not aggressive towards us. This is weird, Well, they had some cattle in a fence next to it, and it kind of wandered its way over there and grabbed one of the calves by the neck, and is just going to town on it. And they throw some sticks at it or something. It doesn't budge. The guy's like, go get my 357. So his kid runs and grabs the gun out of the truck. He fires, says nothing happens, doesn't flinch, doesn't move. He was point blank. He was standing right in front of it. Fires 2 more times. Said the third time he shot, the wolf let go and backed up, but it didn't
Didn't act like it
There was no blood. There was nothing. He said, go get my rifle, because he didn't want this giant predator on his property, and he's trying to raise cattle. This is not going to be good for him. So he wanted to go ahead and eliminate this threat immediately. So the son goes and gets the rifle. He fires. He said he knows he hit it. It didn't do anything. It just took a few steps back. He shot again, and he said he saw a piece of flesh fly off the animal, and then it kind of slowly walks away. They tracked it because it had been snowing. They tracked it, or no, it wasn't snowing at this point. They tracked it through the woods. It got to a creek bed that was slightly dry but all mud, and it was about 30 yards from the water, and the tracks had just stopped. There were no tracks anywhere else to be seen. So
just like vanished.
Yeah, and they, they assessed that how far away it was from the water, that it couldn't have leaped over to the other side. They couldn't find any tracks anywhere around.
Right.
They said they went back. They pick up the piece of flesh that came off, and instead of being a fresh piece of meat like you would expect to have come off maybe if you shot something, it was old and rotten. Like old rotten flesh and meat. They, as weeks went on, there were different times they saw headlights on the property, and he thought somebody was hunting on his property, and he'd go out there, and they would just float up into the sky and, and
there
fly
were
away.
Orbs that would like cause a sense of what a supposed Sasquatches use.
Infrasound.
It was like basically would cause infrasound, where you would just be in a paralysis of fear, and like there would be orbs. There's like a million different instances of this family, and a lot of people speculate there's a wormhole.
Yeah, I think it's a hotbed for interdimensional wormholes.
Yes, and there's instances where they say like this big Slender Man looking figure would come out of a hill, like just insane amount of stories from many different occasions and people.
And I do think probably like maybe 60% of them are bullshit.
Yes, of course.
But because of the number of stories and over such a long period, there's something going on there. And I was always interested in it, but I never was really too like set in stone on it. One thing I did hear in the video, which was interesting, is 3 of 4 people in that area claim they've seen unusual things. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Now it could just be 3 or 4 people want to just be cool and say, "Oh yeah, I saw something weird over in that area."
Right.
But that seems kind of insane. Most time people don't really want to be labeled as some lunatic that has seen something wild.
Right.
But
so those people eventually they sell the property, right? But they sell it to who?
They sold it. I don't remember the guy's name. It was like a very wealthy. That part I'm really blurry.
It was
on.
a scientist.
He was a millionaire.
It was a
or billionaire
scientist that was actually a part of a government organization that did a lot of testing on the land.
Called what was it? NIMS?
Something like that. Yeah, they came out and did a whole bunch of tests and different things. They saw a whole bunch of crazy shit.
Yes, I was going to say I've read that they saw even crazier shit than the family described.
So the reason I started looking back into it is because Austin had told me that an article came out recently where the government had declassified some documents claiming that Skinwalker Ranch has been the home base for the Pentagon's interdimensional research. So he said that there wasn't anything specific in the documents, but other than they're acknowledging that is true.
It mentions the ranch?
Skinwalker Ranch is the Pentagon's home base for interdimensional research. They've been doing it there probably since that guy bought it.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably they probably bought it, is what I'm assuming.
Yes,
from what I've read.
And so
you can go there though, right?
I think you can.
You can go.
You
there.
can. I mean, you can't get on the property, but you can. I watched a video
where
where
it's probably private property now. Yeah.
Yeah, a group of people have driven.
It's in Utah. It's like I said. It's like I don't know, like 100 miles from Salt Lake City.
Next podcast, we're gonna do it from there.
From Utah, we're gonna go to Skinwalker Ranch.
I would love to.
Be awesome.
But one of the things people had reported seeing there, and this was always strange when I first heard it, just because it's like so science fiction, so Hollywood, that it sounds so ludicrous. But people essentially reported seeing the predator. Now, they never fully explained it as or described it as looking like the features of the predator, but there's something that has that invisibility, transparent, but there's a shimmer. There's that telltale shimmer, and multiple people have seen that at Skinwalker Ranch. And then I watched a video of David Paulides the other day, and he's making new videos again. And David Paulides is a very, very credible source when it comes to things like this, because he doesn't really speculate. He doesn't really buy into a whole lot of things. He just puts out the facts that he knows.
Yeah.
But he did read a couple of people's stories, and he said he's heard these kinds of stories
dozens of times.
So many times of people seeing these transparent figures that are moving, walking around, acknowledging that they can see you and you can see it, but you can see through it. And what the fuck is that?
Yeah, no, I mean, what was it? David Paulides that was the one that was talking about the woman that took the picture on the camera.
He wasn't.
He
no,
didn't
I don't know if he might have been.
I think he did do that.
He
didn't
might
he?
have been.
I think he did. And there's more than one instance where he talks about missing case reports where
that's
people,
his.
I'm
He
saying
does
where
missing
people are reporting those kind of like sites.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he's moving more towards, because he's on all the research he's done over all the years. He's never given a this is what I think it is. Right? He doesn't like to speculate because he doesn't know, and he doesn't think that it's one thing in particular even. But I think he's leaning more towards interdimensional portals, some type of portals, because the way these people are disappearing, showing up in other places, there's not a whole lot else that would explain it. The ones where a woman is walking behind her boyfriend, and I don't remember all the details of it, but she's lagging out behind a little bit, and he turns around, doesn't see her, runs back, searching for her, screaming her name out, and then all of a sudden stumbles up upon her, and he's like, "Where the hell have you been?" And she's like, "I was just right behind you. What are you talking about?" And it was like there was.
She ended up being further up the trail than where he was.
Yeah,
and it was like some kind of time shift where it just didn't make any sense. How could she have been right behind him and then been in front of him, and he's shouting her name and she can't hear it?
Yeah.
My thing with all of his cases, and if you guys don't know who David Paulides is, check out Missing 411 stuff. It's very interesting stuff. But I don't know that they're all one culprit. I think that it's very possible that it's multiple different things that could be causing these missing persons cases. But, I mean, that's just my theory.
Well,
I don't think it's all just one thing.
I was going to mention they've taken a map of all of his missing cases reports.
Right.
And
you start seeing clusters for sure.
There's clusters, but they're all near deep-rooted caves.
Deep-rooted caves. They're near water.
Well, they're mostly. The thing is that there was a map comparison of the caves in America that we've documented or whatever, and his missing cases reports, and they're all basically lying on top of each other.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
Which is interesting, and also talking about the caves, I didn't look much into it, but I saw something about I don't remember the guy. He was a general, flew over the North and South Poles, and reported back in the 50s, or I think it was 51 or something, about how they go outwards like a tunnel, kind of like. Basically, what he was saying was there is a race of people that live within the Earth.
Yeah, they're called reptilians.
Well, now and also. There's a lot of other reports. This was a video that, I mean, it obviously could have been bullshit. I didn't look much into it, but it was showing a bunch of cases of people talking and describing these people as the same. They look the same. They're humanoids. They have long blonde looking hair and they look like Daniel basically. And I just thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, I think it's the whole not flying over the Antarctic.
Those are the Draco reptilians.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
Sounds like you did.
I'm glad you brought it up because I was watching Interstellar the other night. I told you I was watching Interstellar, and kind of ties into that, the whole wormholes and the interdimensional beings and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's pronounced
it's phenomenal.
Portholes.
I've heard that a
Not
lot
portals.
of it's factually incorrect. But,
Portholes.
Yeah.
But
I liked the depiction of the fifth dimension, because how do you how do you depict something like that? And I just thought they did a good job, even though there's no way to humanly conceive it.
In the movie, it's even, I don't know the word to use, but like supposedly the fifth dimensional beings that put him in that little time space or whatever, they were putting it in a three-dimensional, they called it a tesseract because he can't perceive the fifth dimension, so they put it in a three-dimensional tesseract that he could perceive because he doesn't know anything other than that.
Yeah.
And so it was three-dimensional, but it was in a five-dimensional, like created from a five-dimensional being, which is interesting. None of you believe in God, right? You believe in God?
I believe in a creator.
I tend to lean more and more towards the more that science comes out and stuff. I hate people that say, science and religion can't go together because I think they're literally hand in hand.
I agree with you.
Science is a religion.
Yeah, well, we could go on about that, but I think that science proves religion in the sense that the more that I think about it...
When you say religion, you mean God, right?
A God, yes.
Okay.
I'm not talking Christianity or anything specific, but a creator. I am tending to lean more and more towards the possibility that it could be just a upper dimensional being.
Sure.
Or an alien.
Sure.
I mean, and I've talked to people about this, and you're fucking insane and stuff. It's like, what's far-fetched about it being... An alien is just something that, we don't...
It's not of this world.
Yeah, that's not... And exactly.
But
technically, by description, he's an alien, but...
Right.
Literally an alien of some sort. An extraterrestrial being or a different dimensional being.
my only thing about that, right, where I have a problem with it being an alien that created us is possibly, right? But that doesn't explain what created the universe. An alien couldn't have created the universe because an alien exists within the universe. The second law of thermodynamics explains that, and this is a horrible paraphrase, but essentially you can't get life from no life. So science itself says that the theory of evolution, that humans just spawned, it can't happen. So there had to have been something, and in my opinion, it had to have been from another dimension. Because we can't, because that's the only, we can only understand the physics and the reality of our dimension. So, and that's one of the laws, that you can't get life from no life. But that doesn't mean that's not how any other dimension works.
How far up are you going to go?
What do you mean?
Like,
well, then who created God?
Like, yeah, because that's the whole thing.
But that's my point is that
in
our mindset, we have that because that's the laws of our world. But in another dimension, we have no idea what is capable or what could create, something could create itself. We don't know. We can't fathom that. So I think it's much more plausible that if there is a creator, it's another dimensional being than an alien, because I just don't think an alien could have created Earth, but something still would have had to have created the alien.
But also, maybe the reason that we've never come in contact or seen an alien is because they are different. They're in another dimension. They're dimensional beings.
And sure.
And that's why we haven't come in contact.
But I think that there are aliens that are from the universe that live on other planets, and I think they're interdimensional beings. I think they're both.
To kind of add on to what you were saying, we look at time as a line instead of a circle. And so that's how we base the argument of you can't create life without life. If time is a circle, that is completely changed. Because our perception of time is so out of fucking whack.
I agree with you that our perception of time is out of whack.
But science doesn't view, like, scientists don't view science linearly.
No,
that.
they don't.
So, but they also say that the theory of evolution.
But if it's a circle, it was always created and it was always well advanced. If it's a circle, it was always one. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it was a circle, there was no starting point because there was always an end and a starting point. Like, it was always one.
It's the serpent eating its tail.
Exactly, and that's why they have to be basing it on a linear scale if they're saying they're using that, life without life. If it was circular, if time was circular, it was always a beginning and an end.
But no, because something had to have put that circle into place. Something had to have started.
Which is what you're saying would be a different dimension.
So why does that? how come that other dimensional being couldn't be the Christian God or
It could be. I'm not
That's
saying
what I'm
it isn't.
saying. I think if there is a plausible way to describe one of like our God, it would be through a dimensional.
The way that God describes himself is not an alien. It's not a human. It's another dimensional being.
Yeah.
He's not from this place.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what I was getting at. When
I mean,
started
like,
the
that's what the
conversation.
Creator is. Whether it be the Christian God, it has to be something outside of this dimension.
I think we should clarify too that just because we believe there's a creator does not mean that we are creationist, right? Like, we don't believe in the sense of the way that Christians would believe creation existed, that the world is only 6,000 years old and all that shit.
But see, I also
just to be
don't-
clear,
I also
we're not,
don't
we're not
believe
that fucking ridiculous.
Humans evolved from
Oh,
a
we're
single-celled
ridiculous.
organism.
We're ridiculous. I mean, look at what the fuck we're talking
But
about
you
right now.
do believe
But-
in
I believe in evolution.
Okay.
I believe in what do they call it? Microevolution.
Yes.
But I don't believe that humans evolved from a single-celled organism. Because
What's
I
weird,
think,
though,
I think
is,
there's so
like,
much
why-
proof that humans have been around for millions and billions of years ago.
Can I make a statement that I forgot to make? You talked about something could have created us, just not the universe. Well, there are there's proof that there are genetic codings that were our genetic coding was manipulated.
You're talking
at a certain
about
state.
You're talking about panspermia.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
That, I think, is what will be the next thing that's taught in schools. I think that evolution is falling apart, and that given enough time, I don't know when, but they will start teaching that panspermia is a thing, and that we were seeded here by some other extraterrestrial beings. At some point, that will be what is taught. That's what I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you might be right, though, because they're moving
But-
on more and more to becoming open on national television. I mean, on mass media, they're talking more
talking
and more about
UFOs,
absolutely,
man.
aliens and this and that.
But why do you think that is?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not for
I mean,
disclosure.
of course, I don't know why it is. It could be for a
Project
complete-
Bluebeam.
Yeah, I mean, it could be for a complete different reason, for a mass hysteria. And, I mean, there could be many.
But
reasons.
it is weird because I'm pretty sure there is substantial evidence that human DNA has been manipulated with some form of alien.
No,
DNA that we
They
can't-
that is proven. That's
Yeah.
not even a.
But
a
I
theory.
think that comes from alien abduction. I don't.
No, I'm talking about like we advanced. I don't know any of the dates or anything like that, but it is proven that somewhere in our timeline, way back when, our genetics were manipulated. And that's not a theory anymore. That they've admitted to that. That shit's interesting to me.
Yeah.
It is, but are they telling the truth about that? That's the question.
So, you think, well, not that you think, but you're saying maybe all of it is a sham?
No, I'm just saying that if there's an agenda to bring on what we would call Project Bluebeam, then that would fit with that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, all of it's a sham, and it started there, and then now they're talking more and more about UFOs and
Right.
undisclosing them, and
It could be all a sham, is
yeah,
what I'm
of
saying.
course, yeah, exactly.
Project Bluebeam, for
There-
anyone that doesn't know, is basically they're going to give us disclosure that aliens exist and that they're here to attack us. And if we don't come together as a one world government to be a force against them, we're all going to die. And fear is the best tactic to make us do shit like that.
They're not just gonna say it. They're gonna fake.
They're gonna fake it.
An alien invasion.
Right, because here's this sounds crazy, but in order for this to be a legit thing, Project Bluebeam, aliens have to actually be real, and we have been back engineering their technology for quite a long time, and because we've been doing that, they're going to have things that look like there's no way that that's of this world,
even
right?
Even if they don't have that, which I think they do, they're just going to use holograms.
Yeah,
And
That
that was the
technology's been
main
around for
theory.
a long time.
since Vietnam,
And I
they
think
used it in Vietnam.
actually, like, the reason we're calling it Project Bluebeam is not like just some conspiracy theorist named it this. That's the title it was given in the government document when this plan was come up with in like the 60s, guys.
Give them that.
Project Bluebeam is an official government document explaining all of this. And I I could be wrong, but I think it mentioned something about holograms.
I mean, it goes back to John Lear speaking on that stuff. For those who don't know, he's ex-CIA, and he talks about he talks extensively about.
So he's
holograms
lying
now.
about everything he says.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would think he probably already been killed, and none of that information would have been spread. But at the same time, he talks about how he doesn't believe planes hit the towers,
Right.
and all the evidence to back it, and how it was all holograms.
Yeah, man, and I'm a firm believer in that too. And anyone that I've talked to about that has been like, "That's where you lost me."
Same fucking place is where I'm.
All right, well, they've been doing it since Vietnam, but whatever.
It's like, if it wasn't a hologram, what was it?
It was a plane, dumb fuck.
Because a plane can't do that to a building.
Wings don't make cookie cutter shapes
This
out
is
of
very
buildings,
clear.
but whatever.
So
Also,
This is a whole nother podcast. We can go for
an
hours
amateur,
on this one.
amateur terrorist that took flight of a plane can't
And
fly at that
and
speed
the only
and trajectory.
other plane
period.
that
Not
he
once,
had
but
flown-
especially not twice.
the only other plane that like they had training with were like crop dusting planes, which are wildly different than flying
It's
those
the
giant.
same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I agree.
100%. That's what all the
Caleb-
professional
it's the
pilots.
same.
Caleb had to
say.
look at me
It's
to
basically the
see
same.
if I was being serious or not. He was
Because I
like,
was like,
looking
I'm
at
about
me
to
like,
tear you a new one.
9/11 was an inside job.
No, 100%.
Sort of.
All wars.
I can give you that.
100%. They're
I heard Shapiro saying something about needing military because bad people are out there that want to hurt us and we have to fight wars and this and that. And it's just the biggest
Jesus
load
Christ,
of horseshit.
dude.
And it was so annoying because the really SJW idiot that was standing there asking questions was like, these are wars that we caused in the first place. And she was 100% right. And I
Yeah,
hated
wrong
to agree with her.
reasons, but it was for the wrong reason.
Yeah, exactly. But
Like,
it was
we were
just like,
perpetuating this white male privilege
Yeah.
over here. They had no choice but to attack.
yeah. But like, it's just that whole mindset is so insane that we need the military to protect us from the evils. But why? Like, these people are mad at us because of our military. You fuckhead. Like,
well, I do agree that we need a military.
No, we don't.
And well, in the case of defense, but
no.
I saw just real quick. I
argue
saw
with this about
a
people all the
T-shirt,
time.
and it was like Moab or whatever. You know, it said, "This is what democracy looks like to Syrians." Give them that.
Yep.
It's fucked up, man.
That's how they're trained.
That's fucked up.
Here's why I say you don't need a military for defense. Okay.
Let's hear it.
And I don't like Steven Crowder, but I heard him say this, and maybe he's full of shit, and maybe I'm completely wrong.
I love Crowder.
But during World War II, Switzerland was neutral. They didn't get involved. Hitler didn't invade Switzerland. He invaded every other fucking country around there. He was, he wasn't stopping. He was just a global domination machine, right? The reason that he didn't invade Switzerland was not because they said, hey, we're going to be neutral in this war. We don't want to have anything involved with it. And he said, oh, I respect that. It was because their citizens were armed to the teeth. And he knew that invading a country like that, going in, kicking in door to door, they were going to get gunfire back at them. America has never been invaded. And it's not because of our military.
Jackass.
Oh, really? Did they do so well during Pearl Harbor or 9/11?
Pearl Harbor when we got attacked out of the blue?
Yeah, when they had the report that the plane was coming 4, 5, 6 hours before it got there, and they did nothing to stop
So
it.
they probably let it happen to perpetuate the war because all wars
So
are
how did the
engineered by
military
the
help us?
Elites?
How
Yes.
did the military help us in that
Yes.
case?
That's
is what I'm
exactly why
saying.
it happened. It's
Every
not that
other-
we couldn't stop it. It's that they let it happen because we
Yes.
wanted to join World War II for the money.
We
That's
wouldn't
the
have
point
joined
he's making, Ethan.
the war, and all those people wouldn't have died if they hadn't have allowed it to happen. My point is that if we stay out of other people's business, no one's going to fuck with us because we're a heavily armed country. You cannot invade the U.S. and expect to just people to just go, yeah, you're.
You ever
you're
seen
coming
Red
in.
Dawn? I know this.
Yeah, man. It would be such a nuisance to them. Think about it. They come and they try to set up a base here in one of our rural towns outside of Memphis or something like that. You got fucking
There's a
people
guy-
constantly shooting at them.
There's a guy who
Red
drives
Dawn.
around here in a Jeep with a 50 cal mounted to the top of it.
That can't work. I've seen
I know.
that guy. There's
I-
no
yeah.
way that
There's more than one. But here's the
Guarantee
thing.
it works.
It doesn't work right now
Oh,
because
yeah,
he's
you
not
can
allowed
probably-
to. You can make it work real fucking easy.
Yeah, he
Well,
has
how is
the
he-
three
how is he
parts
not
laying
allowed
in
to?
his garage that will.
What law
He's not
says
allowed-
he's not allowed to have that?
Man-made laws, which are
But,
immoral.
but are there really? Because you can have a gun in your car.
You can't have
This
an
is a
automatic.
different-
It's
this
not
is-
automatic.
This is different, though.
Oh, what is it?
It's a 50 caliber. I've seen the thing.
It's
But
not
they
I
make-
saw it
automatic?
the other
No,
day.
you can't get
Yeah.
those. Like they make every automatic gun they make semi-automatic as well for civilians because
Yeah.
automatic guns are illegal. I don't know. I mean, I'm not very I don't know all the gun laws.
I
but
could be
don't see-
wrong.
you
He
can
could
carry
have
a
the
gun-
tax
you can walk
stamps
around
to
the
do
street-
it.
down the street with a rifle.
Well, you
on
can
your
have a
back.
50 caliber.
Yes, he may have all of his fucking paperwork in line and
swear.
pay
Well,
the
he's
fees.
saying he may
He
work,
has-
but it not be a automatic. And I get what he's saying. Maybe that's not illegal. I don't
swear
know.
The man
Maybe.
has
Maybe it's
an ammo
semi-auto.
box set up with ammo belt fed into it. I've seen it. I swear.
And it's a
It's a
50
50
cal?
Yeah,
mounted
it's a
50 cal. Like you
Mounted
put on-
50 cals are
Yes.
automatic.
Ethan, let me explain something to you, okay? The military uses a M16/AR-15 for their main
not
gun.
baby talk
they're
me,
fully
you fucker.
automatic weapons. The AR-15 is the most popular rifle.
It's an
in the
assault
country,
weapon, okay?
And it's a semi-automatic.
It's assault weapon.
There's no difference other than the firing mechanism. Every gun you can change from semi-automatic to fully
Hold on,
auto.
did you see where Biden
That's
said
already
that-
semi-auto.
I can't remember what he said. The
fully semi-auto.
No, well, he said that too because he's a
They
fucking
all
moron.
say that.
But he said something about maybe it wasn't even him. It was some guy, obviously left leaning, talking about this gun can fire 6,000 rounds per minute. Or he said per second, I think. I'm like, you fucking moron! And everybody's cheering along. It's
Yeah.
like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's so funny. I saw a Bill Burr clip today, and he was actually saying something pro-gun, but I was still like, damn, he just doesn't know a lot about guns. He was saying the best thing to get for your house for self-defense is a 22, which isn't 100% wrong, but he's like, you just want something small that'll get the job done. You don't want a 45. You're going to shoot somebody. It's going to go through the wall and blow your dog's brains out behind him. And it's like, that's not
Is
how
that
45s
was that
work.
the comedy skit or was it like?
No,
Because
he was talking to
You
Conan.
like Bill Burr?
he's done a
Yeah.
comedy skit where he was like, I don't want to I don't want a shotgun. I don't want to have to replace drywall. I just want to be able to.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably kind of riffing off of that, but
Yeah.
it was just like him on Conan or something. But 45s don't work that way. Like a 45 is much more effective, I think, for in your home. It's not going to go through as much stuff. It's going to
Yeah.
split apart and do the job.
It doesn't have the penetrating power that a 9
yeah.
millimeter does, or 22. It probably does have more penetrating power than that, but still,
Yeah, I mean, 22 may be a safer version, but that analogy doesn't work.
It doesn't really
You don't know a whole lot about
Yeah,
guns, sir.
and ballistics. I
Well,
mean, that's the
This is something I wanted to mention about the talking about war.
Or 45.
Also, it's really effective when no one speaks the same fucking language. And I think about that all the time. I was like, when you're fighting someone and you guys can't communicate at all, and you have no clue why you're shooting this guy. He just has a gun, so you have a gun as well. You're just shooting back at each other, and you can't communicate. It's like the most effective way to have someone go at war with each other because they have no clue what the hell is going on. I just wanted to mention that when we were talking
definitely.
about war earlier.
it makes it easier for sure for you to follow your orders without thinking, and that's a big problem.
I heard this, and I don't know how true it is. I remember hearing it back in maybe 2016, something like that. But it was something about U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan, they were working with the Afghan troops. And they would hear Afghan soldiers raping and molesting small boys, and were like, what the fuck is going on? And they would go try to stop it, and their commanding officers would tell them to just stay out of it. And they were ordered to not intervene while these soldiers were raping children. And they followed their orders.
Because they're mindless pieces of shit.
I do know a lot of them that have been completely indoctrinated and just don't believe anything that they used to. They're literally brain dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but they have completely been it's a kind of MK Ultra.
Yeah,
It's
well,
almost as bad as public school.
almost.
Not quite.
We're not gonna get back on it. Homeschooling fucks.
Homeschooling fucks.
That should be the name of this podcast. You
homeschooling Fox.
All right.
We're gonna wrap it up.
I guess so. It's
It's
hour
been a
and
minute.
45 minutes. St. Clair's going to yell at us again.
Yep.
Fuck off, St. Clair. And when I say that, I mean fuck off down here and come hang out with us.
That's right. Get back on here. All right. Thanks for listening. The 10 of you. Have a nice night. We'll see you next week.